this didn't happen in Connecticut. If you would please, just have a moment of silence. Thank you. Move to item number 2 on the agenda, 2010-2011 audit proposal, financial director, Mr. Ryan. Yeah, they turn the mic on, you might want to check it on also.
Good evening, trustee, all trustees and acting mayor. I would like to propose the new audit for 2010 and 11 and moving forward. Mr. Irving Lance, partner of Miller Cooper and Company. I will give him my.
Thank you for the opportunity. I just give you a brief background, a real quick one. The firm has been in business over 90 years.
Can we move that a little bit closer to the audience?
No.
Also?
Okay.
Thank you.
These never work.
Yeah.
The firm's, we have been in business over 90 years. We have a Deerfield office in the Chicago office and a remote office out in Downers Grove. We have about a little over 200 people in the firm, and one of our specialties is dealing with local government, school districts, cities, villages, park districts, special quasi-government units, and work with the counties, states over the years. And we're one of the larger local firms that isn't part of a national group, although we are part of an international association that has firms all around the country, so we have other firms, if we need it as a resource, to contact and reach out to them. I think according to the last Cranes poll, we were number 11 in the Chicago metropolitan area, and we do two of the school districts, the Sauk next door to here, and also Fort Heights are clients of the firm. So, and this happened to be convenient. My daughter lives in Munster, so I can see the grandkids. And one of the things that we do in working on the audit is we try to work as a team. So we provide drafts to the staff and the board and work through with you before anything gets finalized. And one of the things also is, a lot of times there's issues with management letters and things like that. And there's certain issues, no matter what they are, that we have to report. But we can work with you in the wording. So we want it to be a tool and not like a gotcha kind of thing. So if there are findings, as we're doing the audit, we'll let Mohan know and the staff as we go along. And then also have the drafts that we can discuss before things get finalized. And we also provide the opportunity, like on the management letter, if you want to have responses right in the letter, so when other people see it, they get an idea, like maybe some of these are corrected already, and things like that. So again, that people get a full picture of what's actually going on. And then also we can work with the staff, and so we try to contact a couple of board members and work out the details, who you want to contact, or if you want everybody, like prior to the audit starting, because the audit can be a tool that, anybody can come in and draft the statements that, you're doing any work. We try to make it a tool, like checking in ahead of time and see if there's any areas of concern that any of the board members have that we can build. A lot of times we can build that right into the audit without any additional cost to take a preliminary look. And then if something does pop up, then we come back to you and say, hey, this is what's here. How do you want to handle it from this point on? So it doesn't have to be just a cookie cutter. And also we're available during the year. We don't have to just come to meetings to Prospect Heights, we do Riverwoods, where they don't have any staff, and we Bannockburn, that was a small, we have Plano, with the current client, that we currently work with. And then we do some, like we do the Illinois Metropolitan Investment Pool, is a client, so their, reports go out all over to those. We do a number of, single audits for the federal programs we've done, Lake County, Kane County, all over the years. And so those, some of the things that we're involved with, larger and small, we do both sides, and we're used to, very few clients are at the level. We have a couple where they draft their own statements and that type of thing. Most of them we help draft and work with the staff to get all the information out.
Question? I guess the question I would have is, what's your estimated timetable to have an audit complete? Do you have, I guess I'd be looking for is a timetable on when will you have the draft ready, when will you have a completion, if there's any steps in between with updates? Do you have anything
Right.
like that?
Well, at this point, no. When we talked to Mohan originally, we were actually talking about, getting the audit done during November. When we first started talking during November and December.
Okay.
That's not going to work.
Right.
We can't finish it.
But based off you were trying to do it in November, December, you think you could still have the same within 2 months?
Yeah, if everything's together, and then I think there's still an issue with 9 and 10 being finished. It's all done. Okay, so then that won't hold it up. So our first step would be is we get Mohan a list of things that we would need as a first. The first year takes longer because we have to put together permanent files, we have to get documented all the internal controls and things like that, and then so we would get that list, and then also we can actually go through the work papers as to what's finished and what isn't, and then at that point we can give you a detailed schedule.
Okay.
Okay.
And definitely throughout the time, we want the board to be aware of what's happening, if there's any delays, why those delays are happening, and if possible, or not, we would require that you come back for the village board and give us a new revised timetable
Okay.
and the reason why.
So after we meet, and then I can check with Mohan, schedule-wise, how quickly we get together and then preliminary stuff, and then, get the people chopped up now with the holidays.
All right,
But,
Trustee Bennett?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. I looked at your cost proposal summary. That's basically for us, right? Okay, then I also looked on page 19, which you have explanation fee. Is your summary inclusive, or do your apartments, or at any time that you charge extra for the apartments to get involved or something like that?
No, the partner time, for the audit itself, the fee that we have on page 17 are all inclusive based on our getting completed supporting work papers and all the documentation from the village being provided. If for some reason, like you mentioned, with delays or something comes up, we would come to you first and say, okay, this is happening, here's a couple ways we can do it. And as an example, let's say we came across some additional work that needed to be done. So we can say, okay, if your staff does it, it's going to take, 3 weeks. If we have somebody come in, they can work for 2 or 3 days straight and get it done, where you're affecting one person time. So then you can make the call whether you want to wait, or do it that way.
Second, basically, part of the first, these dates that you have here, 10/31/2011, so that's the first one, right?
Right.
Then it goes to 2012, and then you back, you go up to 2013, and you come back to
14. That should be.
Oh, okay, so that's 12.
Yeah, no, I just saw that. And that takes into account you're changing your fiscal year.
Because one of them is 6 months.
Right.
Which one, can you tell me which one of these 4 are the 6 months? 6 and 6.
Yeah, between the October 12th and the April 30th, 13th.
April 30th, when the price is decided, that's what it is.
It really, I mean, from an audit, we're testing transactions, and the report's the same size, and we're still, based on sample sizes, it really doesn't, we don't look at that big a sample. It's not like we're looking at 200 items and we could cut it down to 100. We're looking maybe at, 5 items, and we're gonna look at 5 either way and document
So
these.
you're saying that I would pay the same amount for a year's audit that I would pay for 6 months? You're gonna charge the same thing?
Right. And the reason is most of the audit work is based on what we call the balance sheet. It's the cash, receivables, payables, things like that. It's not it's more analytical work on the statement of the operations. But the financial statements that we're going to be drafting aren't any shorter. The numbers are just a little smaller. You have all the same accounts.
We have the same accounts, but
Right.
you don't have the same amount of receipts, right? 6 months.
Right. But what I'm saying is we're picking a sample, and that sample size isn't going to change because on the auditing, you're picking relatively small samples and relying on documenting the internal control. So we've taken into account, like the first year, we have to spend more time, which we're investing in that time we're needing.
And that'll be from 2010.
The 11, yeah, the year ended October.
2011.
Right.
Okay.
So we're going to spend more time doing that first to get the systems documented. And then each of the years, we're going to roll it forward, so as long as there aren't major changes in the systems, that's taken into account in 12, 13, and 14. It really doesn't change. We have the same review time, and the report prep is a big chunk of time. That's it.
With what you just said.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand what you just said, which makes sense. The very first time you look at our records and things, you're going to have to do something with it. I understand.
Right. And we're absorbing that time.
That's that full year.
Right.
But then now, by the time you get to 2012, for the 6-month period of 2013, you familiarize yourself by then. And why am I paying the same amount I paid for 2011 to 2012? Why am I paying? I mean, I know what you said.
No, I understand.
I know what you said, but I'm just looking at the numbers. Now, how can I justify, if I was a person sitting out there looking, how can I justify the fact that you're going to do a 6-month audit, even though you said the paperwork may be the same, but it's still 6 months, at the same price you're going to do? I mean,
Okay.
I just think
There's 2 things. First of all, the first year, 11, we're absorbing probably 40 or 50 hours of time as the startup time to get our papers together and documentation, understand the system. And what we do is we look at that as our investment to having a multiple-year contract over a period of time. And that's why there's relatively small increases.
Well, what you did, okay, now I see what you said. What you did is you cut the cost into it. Now, is there a stipulation, and maybe I have heard, is there a stipulation basically that if we do this, that you want a set period of time, in other words, you want a contract for X amount of years? Is that what you're
We
saying?
do an annual engagement letter. We have the proposal accepted for multiple years, and then we have an annual engagement letter. So if you're not happy with the service or something, then, and you decide not to continue, then we end up eating that, there's no charge for you not to continue for the next year. But I want to get back to the 6-month part. If what we're looking at is, let's say, and I'm just let's say you have 2,000 transactions in the 6-month period, you have 4 near. We're looking at a sample of, not including the single audit stuff, but we pick maybe 5 or 6 transactions to look at in each of those periods to see that the internal controls are working. We analyze the internal controls. So we're not so our sample size doesn't change from one year to the other. The same thing as I mentioned, most of the audit is based on the balance sheet. So we're still confirming all the bank accounts, we're still checking accounts payable, we're still checking accounts receivable, we're doing all the same things on the balance sheet, and we're still doing the analytical work. In fact, it's a little harder with the short period because you don't have year to year to compare anymore because it's only a 6-month period. So we're doing more against the budget, and it depends whether you budget for a full year and then just stop, or you actually have a 6-month budget. But those are all things that, and then the other thing on the report too, we're changing why there really isn't, for doing 6 months to a year, there's, from our standpoint, the effort that we have to put in really doesn't change just because there's less transactions.
I understand what you're saying, because I mean quality. So when you talk about auditing, there's still, if you want to say, there's still the same amount of data points. And if it's a year period of time, or if it's a 6-month period of time, you're still checking those the same amount. So the same amount of work goes in for a 6-month budget or a 12-month budget.
Right, and the same thing if you had an organization that had a $5 million budget or a $10 million budget, the amount of work doesn't change, it's more what are those things?
Right.
If one had an enterprise fund and the other one didn't, some may have a police and fire pension fund, we have both, and the other one. That's one of the things I find is the standards are all toward making everything comparable, but especially in Illinois where we have more governments than any other state in the country, by far, nobody's even close, that they aren't comparable because you look, the statement looks the same, but you don't know what the underlying level of services are until you really delve into it. So the combined stuff at the beginning, the entity-wide statements, really don't tell you how much is involved with getting there. You really have to look at the details. And that's why most governments don't really look at the combined statements. You're not managing off the combined statements. You're looking at the individual funds and the individual budgets to manage and operate.
Because I saw it go up. I was just wondering why it went up if you want 6 months. It is what you said it is, that's what you proposed, okay?
Any other questions? Well, you can still review your packets. If you have any questions, I would ask you to reach out to Mohan and get those answers, and then we look at this to be on the next voting agenda, which won't be until next year. So it'll be the second week of January, second Tuesday. So we've got a period of time over the holidays you can review and digest the information. Again, if you have any questions, shoot out to Mohan.
And then we'll follow up and get you whatever information you need.
All right.
Okay?
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. And enjoy your grandkids.
Thanks.
It's close.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Hey, you too. Merry Christmas. Thank you. Happy New Year. Move to item number 3. Tax rate objections for 2003, 4, 5, and 6. Still got the chair.
Good evening once again, Mayor and the Board of Trustees. You have all the information, I guess, with the tax rate objections relating to years 2003, 4, 5, and 6. The petitioners have filed a rate objection while in 2010 and 2011, and which they are asking for about 0.06% rate objection back to the taxpayers. And it is up to the board to say yes, agreeable to refund back to the taxpayers of this outrage. And if we go through and approve it, it will go back, and the decision will, the decision will go back to the county treasurer or the county clerk, and in turn, the county clerk will refund back all the taxes, excess taxes taken out from the taxpayers back to the taxpayers.
Here's the bottom line number.
Approximately about $200,000. $200,000.
That's all combined, 2003 through
Yeah,
2006.
2003, 4, 5, and 6.
So to that. And then you also said that they've already filed for 2010, 2011.
Right.
Okay. And that's something totally separate, we're not talking about. So,
Right.
but, now, I'm sorry, go ahead, Trustee. Which one just said it would be sick, not this side.
I just have a question. Is that, so we would have to reimburse county?
Yes.
County would reimburse that?
in turn to the taxpayers.
Now,
What the county has done is, the county has taxed the taxpayer at the rate of 2.685%. They are going to take it out from whatever they have taken from the taxpayer and reimburse it back like a credit, or they might send actual cash also. My guess is they are going to send it as a credit towards the future taxable years. For example, it may relate to 2012 tax year or 2013 tax year, so they will refund it back to the taxpayers.
what's your answer?
My question is, do we actually have to have money out of pocket, or will they give us $200,000 less?
Yes, yes. Instead of they paying us, for example, we have everyday tax $2.6 million. They will take it out from 2.6 million, 200,000, and they will pay us net 2.4 million.
Okay, so there would be no outlay of cash?
Yes.
That's okay.
So
It would just, our tax bill would be $200,000 less,
right.
which means we'll get into $200,000.
Right. If our lawyers are able to get a deal, still it will be a lot less than $200,000.
Let me ask you this question: is this automatic, or if we say no, what happens?
Again, it will go back to the court, and we have to fight it to the court.
So, I mean, basically, the reason why I'm asking is maybe done deal, but we got to go to court, we got to pay for that too.
Because at that time, my guess is we taxed a little bit over than we were required to. For example, our expenses for IMRF fund were, for example, it is $150,000. But we did ask for a levy of $200,000. And the county approved and paid $200,000. Where in actuality, we spent only $150,000 in IMRF tax. Therefore, we did tax $50,000 more than we were required to. It's like, for example, we pay our expenditure only $100,000, but we tax $200,000. We are taxing more than we are required to. That's why the truth in taxation comes into the picture. That's why the mayor or the chief executive officer certify that we only tax whatever we are required. We are not overtaxed. That is the certification the chief executive officer makes every year when we tax the residents.
So this is 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006. And the total is 200,000. Okay.
But I don't have the correct dollar amount here.
Okay.
Yes. A couple of years, the petitioner took back their petition. That means they took it away instead of filing the tax objection. They took it back. That means the court canceled 2 years worth of tax objection.
And I think we have to be clear about saying that we overtaxed. There was a tax rate objection that we did overtax. The courts still have to decide if we have overtaxed.
Yes.
Okay, so you just got to be careful because you just said that we overtaxed the residents. We also know that there's businesses within our community that every year file for tax objections also.
Right.
Because they feel they might have taxed too much. So this isn't something new. So it's basically every single year.
Right.
The other thing is we prepared for this in this year's budget, right? That's right. We worked on this. We knew that we had this before for a while. So in the budget we were preparing for it.
Even though our budget is for only 6 months, the tax levy what we prepared is for the annualized tax. Because the annual tax levy covers 6 months plus another 6 months of next year. Into starting May of 2013 and extends until October 31st of 2013. Because in essence, we are letting 10 for one whole year.
So in preparation of not winning this, we're prepared for it. That's what's important, that the trustees are aware. I know Rob's worked on this budget, but I don't know if we all remember something I think we discussed. Any other questions? You'll keep us abreast on how these go. I'm sure the attorneys will also. All right. There's no other questions? Seeing hands. We'll move to item number 3, electric aggregation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What I'd like to propose tonight is electrical aggregation. Electrical aggregation is where, as a community, we can save on our electric bill, because what happens is you get a supplier that purchases bulk energy and passes the savings on to consumers. Now, there's some papers in the back there to help you explain exactly what electrical aggregation is. And there will be several presentations between now and April. What I need to try to do today is to ask the board if they're receptive to electrical aggregation, because in order to get this on the agenda, on the ballot for April 9th, we have to prepare a ballot question by January 22nd in order for it to go on the ballot. So today is just a preliminary meeting to see if we're interested in doing electrical aggregation. Before we actually do it, before we actually vote on it, there will be at least 2 town hall meetings to educate the residents exactly what electrical aggregation is. And there will be several press releases that will go out. I've already started passing out some information. I'm still talking to other communities. What I found is some communities put it on a referendum one time, it failed, they sent it back again, it passed. What happens with referendums, a lot of times people do not understand what the referendum is. And a lot of it is in educating the residents exactly what your referendums are. So it will behoove us to give as much information as possible so the residents have a choice. And the most important thing to remember is that even if the village chooses to go by referendum, to go to electrical aggregation, the individual consumer can opt out. So it's not something if the village decides to accept electrical aggregation. It's not like it's something that the residents are forced to participate in. They are given an option to opt in or opt out. There's going to be a lot of education, and believe me, I will have it on the internet, at the library, posted everywhere I possibly can. We will have our town hall meetings. Today is not to talk about who we're going to get or what we're going to do. Today is to find out if the board is receptive to putting it on for a referendum. The January 22nd date is when we would have to file in Cook County. January 22nd is our board meeting date. So preferably, we have now until January 8th to ask questions of either the attorneys, other municipalities. Like I said, there's several pieces of information here that you can go through. I have been talking to several different representatives I can put you in contact with. So today is really not about who we're going to go with, how much money we're going to save. Today is what is electric aggregation, and do we as a village want to place this on our referendum? Looking at the March 20th, 2012 election, we had 55 municipalities voted for electric aggregation and 11 voted no. And in the November 6, 2012 election, 18 voted yes and 4 voted no. So it's running about 20% no to 80% for it. A lot of the surrounding communities, Chicago Heights, South Chicago Heights, there's several, and if you want to go on Cook County Clerk website, you can see the election results. And what I found is a lot of the races are very narrow. They're like 48% to 52%. And then you have some that are like 80 to 20% as far as the voters are concerned. Again, I think that's all voters' education. So today my question to the board is, I have also included in the board guidance a sample ordinance from Worth. This is what our ordinance would look like. I've already talked to the attorneys that are prepared to write this ordinance for us if the board chooses to go forward. And it also says in this ordinance exactly how in Worth, how it read on their ballot, shall the village of Worth have the authority to arrange for the supply of electricity for its residential and small commercial retail customers who have not opted out of such a program. Some individuals may have already signed up with people who have come door to door to ask them if they want to sign up for their own individual energy savings. A lot of people have done that. This is a municipal electric aggregation. And again, you can choose to opt in or opt out. There will be presentations at a later date if the board decides to vote.
And I apologize to the board because I met with someone right before I left to go out of the country that I wanted to hear tonight at the meeting, and I was really able to follow up because.
Well, I did follow up, Mr. Brennan.
Did you really?
And today's meeting, as what I'm trying to explain to the board today, is that this is actually what we want to do.
Right.
Because I'm talking to a representative right now, it's kind of pretty sure. Until we decide then what we need to do is we'll talk to representatives. There are several different representatives and have several different rates, several plans. It's just like anything else, but it's speaking, I didn't speak with them.
Okay.
And it was kind of like a waste of anybody's time.
Okay.
Until the board decides to go forward, and then we can decide who we're going to bring in, when we're going to bring them in. We have plenty of time to decide who we're going to go with, if we're going to go with electric aggregation.
And I think, again, with the internet the way it is, if anyone wants to go out there and take a look at it and see exactly what's going, we can reach out to some of these communities that have passed it and find out how it's working in their communities. Again, we have a period of time we're going to be off for the holidays, so I guess you want to say tonight we'll probably do a little bit of homework. That is what the officials we might want to do some following up on our own. But does anyone have any questions for the village clerk? All right.
On the agenda for January 8th, providing the attorneys come through with a staff ordinance, draft ordinance.
Harry is the ordinance for the referendum.
Yes.
Does anyone have, is everyone okay with that? What we do is we top off and say yes, and if you have any questions or any comments, we make sure that we come together. I see your hand up.
I would be put it on, I would be put it on the agenda for the 8th, give you a chance to research it and then come back and discuss it. And then see if we on the single person the next one.
Because it has to be passed, I guess, the 22nd.
It's just like filing petitions or anything else. There's deadlines for everything we have to file. January 22nd is the day that we have to file to be out in order to get this on the ballot.
Now the calendar is the 22nd of the village board meeting.
I'm sorry, the 22nd is our board meeting.
Right.
So we're supposed to file this with the county by the 22nd. And again, what I'm saying is I've given a lot of information. There's a lot of information on the website. There's a lot of people you can speak with. I'll be happy to put you in touch with several people. This is not something that is, we're not making a decision today on electrical aggregation. We're only making a decision on, do we want to put it on the ballot? That's all.
And at the same time, we wouldn't be passing it because it has to go for referendum.
Right.
So we're looking at, does the village board want to put a referendum on the ballot? It gives the residents the opportunity to say yes or no that they want this.
It's just a ballot question. In order to get the ballot question filed with the county, what we will need to do is the same ordinance that I gave you a copy of. Our attorneys will draft this exact same ordinance with the exact same wording of the question. If you're satisfied with the way the question is worded, I'm sure every municipality may do something slightly different. But most importantly, what I'm proposing is that we follow words. Our attorneys work the words off. It will be exactly like this. Put it on the January 8th approval. If the board chooses not to approve it, then we'll bring it up another time.
I don't see a problem. I don't see anyone drastically saying no about putting it on the agenda. I would ask though that Trustee Myers, if you can just run through that real quick, and let us know if you have any problems or any concerns with your committee. And then again, if we have to table it or remove it on the 8th, that can happen also. All right?
There's a possibility that we could approve it on the 22nd, get it on the 23rd. It's still a possibility. I did talk to the conflict today about that, because I told her our meeting's on the 22nd. So if somebody really has an issue with putting it on the 8th, but I'm just afraid if they could have it on the 22nd, that they decide to go through. But could I put it on the 8th when we start?
We'll move stuff before. So this is on there. All righty. Item number 5, economic development brochure, Trustee Burgess.
Thank you. Okay, today I have some brochures. What happened is the Economic Development Committee put together, it's 2 for each person.
2 for each person.
should have two different brochures, one that has wind pack on the inside and one that doesn't. What we want to do as a committee, we came up with the brochure that we want to distribute to the corporations, investors, real estate brokers, and then put on the websites, the business websites. What I'm asking is to get input from the board as to which one they would like to see published. Easiest way to say it would be the one that is with wind pack, it would be number 2, is what you see that says Dermody Properties, and the other one would just be Opportunity Industrial and Commercial. Both of them would have the same cover letter. So I'm just asking for that input, and then we can vote on it next week, and then I can send it off to the proper people. And also, we can, I want to bring back the price. First, once we get the art done, I can bring back the price of how much it would cost to have these printed, so we can have them distributed.
Do you have an estimate cost?
No, I haven't done. I want to make sure first what the art is going to look like.
And I guess we look at, since you're still here, is where will we pull this money from? I guess you probably have to know how much.
Right.
I mean, if we're talking $1,000.
Yeah, that's what I want to hold it to. I want to hold it to 1,000 and under.
So to challenge you to come back, when he comes back with a price, where will we pull that money from? Is any of this money, since we are including the wind pack and the TIFs, if we can pull some TIF revenues for this brochure? So we're challenging you, since you're still here, to come back and let us know where we can use the funds to put this out. All right? Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Parker, but notice that you have a photograph of a private person in the corner that's on
No. Okay.
The reason I have, if you remember a while back, the police department and so wanted to put the name Sauk village on it and the ones for the Indians head on, and we got notified by the people that they didn't like that. So we had to actually put the right colors for their address and everything.
And you're right, trustee. I apologize for that. That picture won't be there. It'll be the picture of what's right here, back in my jacket. That picture will go there when you see Village of Sauk Village Private Progress. It'll be that logo right there.
But the facility's pretty good though, that's right.
Okay. Yes, yeah, that would be that logo.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? We lost you. Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, can you just put something in my box between now and next board meeting, and then this way I can like to get some prices so I can bring it to the board. Once we get everything together, which one you like, the first one or the second one. The first one being the one without wind pack, and wind pack would be the second one.
And I can tell you, just by a quick look, I like your first one, because it gives the opportunities that Sauk Village provides. It talks about our industrial area, it talks about our commercial area. I think that's a lot better when we get to item number 2, this is my personal opinion. Number 2 looks like it's more focused just for tip number 3. Well, we still can reach out because we've got, in fact, I would look for us to pull from all the TIFs because we're talking about our industrial sites and we're talking about commercial sites. And within the majority of our TIFs, there's not only industrial, but there is commercial areas identified also through our comprehensive plan. So I think it's very important. I would hopefully we could pull all the money from our TIF funds, but we'll find out. All right. But you have my choice already. Oh, and the other thing too, is I would definitely like to see that logo.
Yeah, that would be that logo.
Anyone else? All right. Again, I'm encouraging that we continue to push Sauk Village. I think this is great. I'm glad the Economic Development Committee is reaching out with this information so that we can approach these businesses and let them know that Sauk Village is a great opportunity for them to move. There's great opportunities here Sauk Village. I know Housing Authority is working on some stuff too, so pretty soon we're going to have an information out for residential, commercial, industrial. This is great. Again, positive, and that's what we're looking for. Thank you very much, trustee. Great job. Now for something negative. Sherry, let's talk about the vacant home board. Just so everyone knows, there is 2 houses that have been brought to my attention that in Sauk Village that were safety concerns. Those houses that are boarded up now. That's important. And what I would tell any residents, if you have issues and concerns in your neighborhood, please make sure that it gets to my attention. Again, I tell you, I may not move as swift as you may want me to move, but I will do my best to make sure that things get taken care of. And we're going to talk about something that deals with the safety in our community, okay? Before Sherry gets into it, I know this is going to be a cost to the village. And again, it's going to be very challenging for us to find out where this cost is going to come from, because we're going to pick up the initial cost at the beginning. Now, is there things that we can do to make sure that we receive that money back? Yes, there is, but it's a long term. When we start talking about renting properties and issuing tickets and things like that, that's something that we'll receive at a later time. I asked the trustees realize what we're talking about tonight, and do we have an idea where this money's going to come from right now? I'll tell you right now, no. We do not know where it's going to come from. But as a board sitting up here, it's our responsibility to make sure that we make our neighborhoods and our community as safe as possible. And when we have these vacant homes in our community where windows are being broke out, doors are being smashed in, they become an area for, if you want to call it gang infested, if you want to call it criminal activity, and we want to get away from that. Again, we're trying to take care of the things that have not been done. And it's important that as we move forward, part of moving forward, there's a cost. And anything that we're going to do right, there's going to be a cost. So, do we have the answers tonight? Sherry's going to present this. We do not have the answers tonight yet. Do we know where the money's going to come from? No, we don't. Again, I've been challenging Mr. Raul a lot lately on where we can get funds and what else can we do to recoup these funds that we're spending. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you now.
Okay. Last week, I was directed to get quotes from Rich Construction, which I have done, and everything should have had been in your box before I left for work tonight. I think if the board is going to go with a board-up company, I believe that the board should go out for bids. I think Rich Construction is very costly. It's $165 for each time they come out. That's not including any of the openings they're closing and whatnot. I appreciate the fact that this does come out quickly, but I don't see where it would hurt the village to go and get bids from other board-up companies just to see what the other board-up companies are offering us. We've had, there's been articles that have been put on Facebook about the board and myself not caring about all these vacant homes, which we know that we're aware of. I mean, the list that I provided for you was just from Sue driving just down the streets and seeing the doors wide open. I don't know what the answer is. Back in the day when we had money, we board them up, and then that eliminated the problem. But I feel if the board is going to go with the board-up company, we should definitely put it out for bids. I prepared just a public notice with dates in it. I mean, I have that saved to the computer if we decide to postpone this for a while. I also got the bid packet together for a board-up service, which would allow them to bill the property owner if they could find it and give us 90 days before payment would have to be made. Trustee Myers has given me Stager's lien sheet. Tomorrow I was going to retype that with Sauk Village. I have no problem going to Markham and filing the liens. He even said he would accompany me until I got familiar with it. The only thing with that is every lien you bring in, I believe Ed said it's $42 and they want their payment as soon as I bring them. So it would be in our best interest to take 10 at a time down. And then, but I don't know where we're gonna get the money for that. I don't know how, we don't have that kind of cash laying around.
Again, the liens would include the $42 you paid to put the lien on. It would include the amount of money it costs the board.
We was informed that, you've been asked, make sure you ask all the, powers that the, administrator, put into preparing the manpower, yes, the equipment, everything for whatever you use to do. If you can send the, part of that lien if you want to, if you have to, you just have to have it on record stating that the lien is for, I'm just using a figure now, $575. You have to have a file, so if anybody touch that lien, you just have to be able to see what each one of those items are. I agree with Sherry, we send out bid notices to the four places. I know there's about 17 different companies out there that I know for a fact that they're for us. There's also, you can send them out to general contractors, you send them out to subcontractors. You can probably send out hundreds of them if you want to. But we need to send something out, just get a base price for it. Looking at this proposal that Sherry gave us, there is some stuff in there that's very expensive. The one thing I questioned, and I did ask Sherry if I could contact Rich Construction on, she said no problem. Is, for instance, they charge you $49 to board up day one day, but then turn around and see they charge $49 to put your line, so you get no charge. I mean, and then stuff like that is on down the line. Local ordinance says wire mesh, ordinance says painted plywood. We have to make sure we spell that out. And we're what we want in that big book, so we know exactly what it is. I would stay away from dictating the exact price, let them tell us what the price is. And then that way we have a little bit to go through and you can get your price in hours. The other thing that I briefly spoke to Sherry Friday and tonight was that we can try to select 2 or 3 houses from this list. She has do a search on her computer. She has a program there that will give us some information. Find a bank and call there and the field director or field president that's in charge of the operation. That's right, citation. Let's find out that works.
Okay, you should take it away from us.
And tell them that they don't like this figure.
Well, we do have that program, and I believe Bev and Sue use it along with the property program that Trustee Williams brought to the table. The problem is once you start making these phone calls, nobody wants to take responsibility for these houses. It's this one, it's that one. It's so time consuming, I can't even begin to tell you. I do not have the manpower. Tomorrow I can run some more pins. Cook County is at least 5 years behind, so you don't ever get anything accurate from the county. So the bottom line is it's hard just to find out who's responsible for the houses to ticket them.
Okay, have we looked through mayors and managers?
I have.
Contact, what's his name? It used to be Reggie or Mike? Well, Reggie, but Mike also did it also. But Mike's leaving, so no. Rizzo.
I know that one searching their records, that one group that we have is through SSMMA. They were brought on when the previous administration was here.
I was going to say, since you have so much problem with the program you have currently, I would take maybe a couple of those PIN numbers tomorrow. Let's contact South Spartan mayors and managers. Get a hold of either Reggie or it's Mike. I can't remember which one. Let's talk to them and see if they can pull the information, because they've got a lot of the most updated information. In fact, they're sending out foreclosure maps and lists every month. So again, if we have to, we go back to some of those old emails and take a look at those locations. And that location tells you exactly who owns the property. I can't remember. There's a whole list of information that's provided in those. But in fact, if you need to, we can even get you involved to make sure that you're receiving those emails also.
Okay.
All right. So if they have any the other thing too is real quick, reach out to Kevin to find out if our Public Works Department can start boarding up some of these, because what I've asked Sherry to do is provide a priority list, which would be starting with the worst case scenarios. Because right now, I can see continue using Rich until we can find someone cheaper for emergency purposes, okay? However, if there's other things where maybe a door is broke open or a window, can we get our Public Works out there? Because we know we do have some lumber sitting at the Public Works Department. Get out there and to board up those, those least high priority areas, and then maybe take maybe the top 5 or top 10, because we do get a break if we call them out for 3 or more houses when it comes to call outs.
Yeah, some of them are just back doors and front doors wide open. You know what?
And then
This house on Navajo that we had boarded up, I went over there before I called Rich, and they had literally kicked all 3 doors off this house, and they were laying on the floor. They were locked in hands. Somebody was out there and locked in, put a lock and hasp on them, but that ain't gonna hold. They just put their foot through it. So I didn't get the bill for that one. I went on that one, but I'm sure it's going to be well over $500 just for that one door, because there was so much damage and so many openings at that house.
And even security systems, homes, if you have them on the inside, since they're already opened up anyway, and somehow to either nail shut the door or put something across it so it can't be pushed in from the inside. And I know there's still going to be one door that we have to leave through, but take all the other doors and make them they can't be pushed in the door.
Right.
Sure. Some months ago, wasn't Richmond construction the topic of the conversation as well?
Yeah. Me and the village manager met with Rich. I would probably say maybe about 7-8 months ago. John from Rich Construction says the village owes him about $15,000, and I spent many hours on all the invoices. And I come, it's under at least 3,000, maybe. He has his daughter doing his record keeping, and there's a problem with their record keeping. I think that's one big problem with them. He told me and Mrs. Turner that if we would allow him to do all the board-ups, they would waive all the outstanding bills. But I disagree with him on the cost. I mean, I spent hours doing an Excel spreadsheet and checking all the bills, and I know we don't owe him $15,000. He still, when I asked him for this, he still got it.
I think also we should reach out to some of our local businesses. I mean, you've got some local contractors, local construction workers that have their own businesses. I have no problem opening it up, getting 3 or 4 on the list and saying we have houses, how much are you going to charge us to one of these houses up? Because they're local, because they're village residents. If they have a heart for the village like most of us, they may come in and only charge us the cost of what it costs them. I mean, it doesn't hurt us to reach out to them. And tell them, hey, we're looking for someone to come in, and we bring pride and progress back to this community. And since you're a resident of this community, we'd like to keep the business in our community. What can you do to help us out?
Whenever our existed some months ago, he stated that he thought we would say $15,000. Didn't the village have their own receipts?
Yeah.
The town, the acquisition of this building?
Yeah, I mean, I had invoices that he had on his sheet that we didn't pay. I had invoices saying we paid him with a check number and everything. And I got that $15,000 down to probably right under $3,000. He definitely has a record-keeping problem. And as I told him in the past, it was my idea for him to start putting invoice numbers on his bills because he couldn't keep track of them. And he still doesn't do such a great job at that. So that's why I said if the board was going to decide on going with an outside board-up company, that we definitely get bids. We might find that some of them are cheaper, but I mean, it's costly.
I think tonight I agree with Sherry, that however, I think going forward for right now, we should continue using Rich Construction for emergency purposes only. And I would ask that the board allow Sherry to go ahead and take this off the bid. Do we have consensus from the board?
So we got
fire hydrants. Of course, the last report I got, I've been out of country, but the last report I received was fire hydrants came in, I think it's like 5 or 10, I can't remember off the top of my head. You're looking at, I think, by January, to go ahead and start doing the breaking the ground and installing it. So I know while I was gone, I haven't received a report.
I think he said that they got, 5 of them did. Right, they haven't started installing, but I don't know what his timeline
That's
is.
what I'm saying. Before we start putting one thing on, we need to find out, you know, what's the best for this or what we can do and try that, you know,
Right.
but I would like to see something done with the homes that are really, really open. Just so we can go out.
Well, that list, they're open.
Okay.
I mean, they're open, they're all open. I did check the other one on, Navajo and Sioux, was it Sioux and had, I like them to be together, I don't like them going in to these vacant homes, because you never know what you're gonna be running into.
And because you only have one left, which means your police department is involved when they go.
Right, the other one on Navajo, when we went yesterday, both doors were locked, so that was on that list, so I wasn't gonna, I mean, I'm sure if somebody gave it one kick, it would come, but they were locked. But the ones that are main focus should be there, the ones that are wide open, there's one on Sauk that's wide open. I'll double check that, search program again, but I just know that with this one on Navajo and several others, that has spent 5 hours getting the runaround, who's responsible for it, they'll get back to you, they get back to you, they are responsible, they're not, you know, it's a constant problem. And it's not a 10-minute job.
I mean, that's why my question was, can we get him to at least give us maybe 1 or 2? I mean, it's going to be overtime wherever we do. But at least it's in-house overtime until we can get the bids back. And until we can, you know, find out financially and get our money back too. Because the bids is one thing. We need to still search to see how we can recoup our costs. I mean, even if we go out to bids, we have to do it, they'll send us a bill, we got to pay the bill, in the meantime, we got to get the money back. Whoever we got to get the money back. So that's the first thing we got to work on, getting the money back. And the second thing I would think we work on is, and Kevin can do a few of them right now, the real bad one's emergency, and then, somebody that's in the community, which would be a good thing, so in the community, right now, it's not that, you know, people may not be busy out there as far as construction, so they may want to do some more.
I mean, we had, you know, the village manager, I asked her if I could do a few of them, because, I mean, they literally stole the patio doors out of houses. I mean, they're open.
They're still the pipes out there, they're still the furnaces out there, they're still whatever they can out there. So, I mean, so if they can get, you know, we can do that maybe right now, maybe 1 or 2, and then as time goes on, you know, by that time, maybe we'll have some bids back. Maybe, you know, it's going to take about.
Or we, you know, which we, if I can't find anything, until we get this all straightened out, you're looking at 2 doors, at least getting the doors boarded up.
And you know, if it's only 2 doors, we get public works to do that. What I'm looking for is Rich, when I say emergency.
For a lot, like the
If
Navajo.
the window, Navajo was a perfect location, because the windows were all completely broken out of the house, almost all the way around, the doors were broken open. That's an emergency, but if
Well-
you're looking at 1 door, 2 doors, I really see our public works in one there, about on board about.
2 doors?
Yes.
All right, well,
Sure, we know how often the Sauk Department is patrolling the area, put an eye on these vacant houses, open vacant houses especially.
I don't know.
Can you write a letter, can you talk to the, you handle that chief, to make sure that, because these are open houses, and you don't want to end up finding bodies in these houses. So if they can do an eye check on these locations until they get boarded up, that'd be much help to the citizens here. You understand what I'm saying? I'm sorry? No, I'm talking about the ones that are open and not boarded up, as Shirley was saying. As soon as you can always drive by, do an eye check on these, and sometimes you can walk inside of them and make sure that there's nothing there but a vacant home.
I mean, definitely what we do is, let's forward your list to the chief.
I did give it to him.
Okay, and if you can just put it on some of their shifts, to say, you know, here, take a shift here or there to randomly select these homes and check them out. And then maybe come back with a report, you know, and even next Tuesday, or of course it's gonna be next month, but during a board meeting, we'll get a report from you saying how many of these homes have already been boarded up. Maybe a report from the chief or from the police department telling us of the homes that were not boarded up. We've checked these homes, and if there's been any findings or anything. You know, if we find people living in them on the floor, things like that.
I've got the one person I got from Sherry just the other day, marked 2 of them off that you pointed out.
That's the ones we took care of.
Now, the rest of that list, you want to be,
They're unsecure. Last time Sue checked when she drove, they were open. I mean, from driving, you can see they were open. They're open, the doors are open.
These homes need to be checked, chief, consistently.
I'll pass it on.
And then I don't know who wants to talk to Kevin about,
I already started communication on, so I'll follow up with tomorrow.
you know, and then that would ease a lot of the costs.
And I understand they're not gonna be all boarded up overnight, but if we can get a house here and there in between, and again, what we talked about was fire hydrants a second ago. The reason fire hydrants aren't going to start being replaced in January because we are preparing for winter. He's getting his trucks prepped, getting snow plows on, getting the hoppers on. Yeah, so there's a lot of work as he prepares.
Even if you can get them to do a few a week,
Right.
you know, at least the doors.
Again, baby steps and big progress.
And then I'll just use Rich for the time being, but if you guys want me to go forward with putting a public notice in the newspaper, I did that already. If those dates look fine, if that public notice looks fine with you and the dates are fine, I'll be more than happy to get that put in the paper. And then we got copies of the bid thing that I come up with. I can leave that at the front window. I know Trustee Myers was saying mailing them, but I think the public notice would serve, I mean, that's more money that we'll have to spend.
And let's get them the billboard out front on the marquee. So let people know we're taking bids. So you put a public notice out, put it on the marquee, put it on the website.
I mean, do you think that gives us enough time for it to be published and?
Generate for you. So we're good.
So I'll get that put in the newspaper, and then I'll have the bid packets up at the front window, so when they do come in, they'll be ready there, to be picked up, and then we can open them and see where we're at.
All right. So that's the added for the January meeting. Sorry. Trustee Rand? You speak of safeguard, maybe we need to get a conference call with safeguard, and you have a list of problems that you're having? And let's
I just don't get a good return from them. We've put a lot of the homes in, and it's like, they'll give you a number, and then it's just like what I'm talking about. It's a vicious cycle. And I don't think it's safeguard. I mean, I don't know that it's safeguard's fault. I mean, it's a problem finding out who's responsible for these houses. They put it out, Sauk Village, Sherry, Sauk Village violation, and they put that out there, and then these banks will come back, because I've seen some of them not responsible, check with. It's just like, that's right.
All right, so January 8th, we'll have a bid opening.
All right, so I will place the public ad.
By tomorrow?
I'll do that tomorrow. Yeah, I'll have it in Sunday's paper probably, or whenever they can get it.
Yeah, I think they're just looking at time to remember the time to look on that. Well, you still have it. You still have it, he's on the 18th. Right.
Okay. How many days? 10 days? Yeah, I mean, I have that information you gave me. I can get the applicant as soon as
Yes,
possible.
if we have to push it out to the next committee meeting, because the 8th is the regular board meeting.
Right, but if she gets it on Thursday, we got 10 days just in time.
Go with it? Okay. And then I'll put around tomorrow with running some more of those pins to see what I can come up with.
All right, I'm gonna check with South Carolina managers.
Okay.
Yeah, we're up to date with them now. All right, thank you very much, Sharon. We got number 7, resolutions. I have item number 8.
The 2 resolutions that you have before you from the IDOT are for instructions for improvement by municipality with the Illinois Highway Code for 225 Staples Drive to Murphy Avenue. The reason that there's two resolutions is the one resolution for $110,000 actually is for the repairs, and the other resolution is $10,500. That's Robinson Engineering fee. So there's two separate engineering resolutions that need to be passed on the 8th. If you have any questions, Jim's office is open for whatever questions, because these are dated date and they have to be
You know, Jim's not here now.
You said that the A is the repair cost and B is the fee.
No.
That was the case.
I think it's the other round.
No,
Okay.
the $10,000 is the fee. The Robinson Engineering. $110,000 is the
You're welcome.
yes, and the $110,000 is the actual cost of construction.
All right. I think we're seeing roads getting done. And any other questions? All right. Covers A and B. We move to item number 8, 2013 board meeting schedule.
Thank you. I've also put in your packet the proposed schedule of regular activity meetings. This has been posted at the beginning of every year. It's posted in the hallway. It'll also be posted on the website. If anybody has any questions, please see me before I post this. If you'll notice, throughout the year, we only have 3 days where we will not be meeting. That's January 1st. April 9th is the election for 2009. I'm sorry, 2013. As a rule, we don't usually meet on election night, and you guys will do something different. And then the last one will be Christmas Eve in 2013. So those are the 3 dates that I've taken up meeting package.
It needs to be changed. We could have to add a special meeting or something because of circumstances that we have.
There is a note at the bottom that says that there's no meeting on Fifth Tuesdays, and especially if the call is necessary. So if you're fine with this, I can go ahead and post it.
All right. There are no objections. Item number 9, please make sure all questions are directed to me, and each speaker will be given 3 minutes to comment on the topic of their choice. Each speaker will be allowed 1 opportunity to speak. I don't think you speak down, but is that up there? I forgot to mention, if you would please mention your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Frank Harvey, 4946, East 223rd, please. I'm concerned about, look like every month, the village is borrowing money from the water fund. And it seems to me that the money, there's no money, enough money in the water fund to get a loan, a low interest loan anyway right now. The way things are going, it's never going to be enough money in that. In other words, for the people to say that they're able to pay for the infrastructure and all of that. So what I'm concerned about is if you're constantly borrowing money from it, and I don't see here nowhere where you're planning on putting it back or when you're planning on putting it back. And I think it's important to let the people know that this money will be put back, because look like to me, the best way to go would be to try to get some government grants. And if nobody on the board is smart enough to write out a grant, then you need a new board.
Is that all you have? Mr. Mohammed, will you please address about how we pay back the loans that we take from water companies?
Right now, we are not in a position to refund back the water fund loan, which is loaned out to general fund, because general fund has an obligation to pay an ongoing cost, which is escalating in spite of, being trying to cut out all the costs. In spite of it, its expenditure is, too much. Right now, we may not be able to refund it back to the water fund, whatever we have borrowed from water fund into general fund. we will try our level best to get it back to water fund, but not right now. We will have to wait until the tax really comes in during the month of February, March.
I think it's important for the residents to realize as tax money is received, we pay the money back to the water fund. Over the years, you see multiple times where money has been refunded back to water fund. Correct. So, and the important thing too is the village is running a deficit, so we base what we can pay on based off of tax revenue coming in. And that's how we make our payroll. And that's what comes out of general fund.
Bernice Burrow from Houston. I have a comment to make since I don't seem to get answers to my question when I come up. I noticed that the legislative parliament branch, which is generally trustees, all except for Trustee Benson, has sued the executive branch of the government here in Sauk Village over the years. And not only that, you have to use taxpayers' money to do so. So my question is to you, why are you guys using our money to sue each other? There's money just wasted for no reason. There was no arbitration or anybody sitting up there trying to figure out, maybe we work this out some other way. You guys are willfully spending our money for no reason at all. On October 23rd, to piggyback on what Mr. Harvey said that trustees approved $200,000 to come from the water fund. Again, last week I was told that you guys want to wire $163,000 from the water fund. Now, my question is to you, how is it in the best interest of the people for you guys to keep borrowing money from the water fund when we're talking about the health and safety of an entire town? You know what the conditions of the wells are. You know that fire hydrants are not working, yet you guys are steadily raiding the water fund. Not only that, you're using money from the MFT funds, the utility funds, and the TIF funds. So I want to know, how many times have you taken money out of the water fund and not paid it back? Because you can't account for a lot of money, because that's one reason why we have an outstanding class action lawsuit. Because nobody knows where the money is. You guys are taking money out of different funds, using it for what it's not intended to, not telling the residents, and yet you guys are sitting up here suing each other, using our taxpayer dollars, but when a resident comes up here to find out what happened to the money, nobody has an answer. Can anybody justify what you guys are doing?
Ms. Houston, on one of your first questions, you talked about the
Can't hear you.
litigation and the lawsuits. And on many occasions, when the litigations were spoken of, I asked for the board not to settle.
We can't hear
The board
you.
decided to settle. And when the board decided to settle, without making the allegations prove themselves, it cost the taxpayers thousands of dollars. They have done it many, many times.
Can you turn the mic up? We cannot really hear you from
I
here.
don't know where the money. I don't know where the money is going to.
Excuse me a minute. Can you start up so they can hear you? And I can understand without being interrupted. Can you start up again, please?
As I said before, many times when the litigations.
Hold on a minute. I'm trying to get an answer to my question.
Can you hear me, Mr.? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but they want to hear you too. We want to know what happened to our money. That's the part about lines.
Many times when there were litigations pronounced to the board, I asked for those litigations to be proven in the court of law, but the board decided not to prove many of them, but to settle out of court. And that's why a lot of our taxpayers' dollars has been just spent without proving these allegations, without proving these so-called racial acts that some of the employees claim, without making them prove their point and just giving away the money to just settle out of court is bad practice. It's bad law practice, in my opinion, therefore causing the taxpayers thousands of dollars. That's on that end. Now, on the water fund, and I can only, to my knowledge, I don't think any of it has been put back into the water fund, but Mohan can speak more to that than I can. as he just stated, at this time, he just stated, we cannot pay back the water fund. Am I correct to say that? We cannot pay back the water fund. If he's saying that right now, well, what about in the future? And if they want, I wasn't here last week, but if they trying to receive $163,000 from the water fund now, that won't be paid back for a while either. We still have outstanding debt that we have to pay back. So, and they may go back into the water fund and get more. I don't know. We have to hear from the finance director on that, Mr. Moore.
Nobody answered my last question.
Are you done?
You didn't answer, somebody didn't answer my last
As soon as you're
question.
done, we'll respond. This is not going to be a debate.
I'm not debating, I said somebody didn't answer my last question. You want me to repeat it?
If you want to say it to your 3 minutes, it's fine. It's done, that's fine.
My last question is, why are you guys taking money out of the water fund, utility funds, the MFT funds, and not letting residents know that what they're paying is not what the money's being used for? I want to know what gives you the authority to take our money, spend it like it's in your own personal ATM, and we're not getting anything for it. Look at this town. What's happening to our money? Can somebody explain to me what's going on?
All right. 3 minutes is up. All right. I'm going to respond to a couple of these questions because I was like, this is, again, I'm not here to debate residents. You have comments, questions, we'll address them. You may not like our answer, but if I give you an answer, if I don't know the answer, you're not going to get an answer. Suing the village was brought, suing different parts. I don't think I can remember. I now have to look where we've sued the executive branch. I think we've gone to court to get a court decision on executive session or executive decisions and things that were made, and I think the courts most of the time ruled in the board's favor because they were illegal. So that's what you're talking about suing. We talk about water fund. Where's that money going when we borrow those water funds? That pays for our administration costs. That pays for our police officers on the streets. That pays for our fire department. That pays for our ESSA. That money that we're getting, and keeps the day-to-day operations going. Now, Mr. Mohan made a statement that right now we're not able to pay that money back. That's correct. That's why we are borrowing the money now because we're unable to pay it back. Now, when we start receiving our tax revenue, when it starts coming in, what we look at is how much we're receiving, and the top of that money goes back to the water fund. We have repaid, and over the years, that money always gets repaid and comes right off the top of the tax revenue and comes back. That I can assure you, because that's one thing we want to make sure that we pay back those funds. We talk about money being taken out of other areas, TIF, MFT, and some others. I can assure you that under this administration, that's not happening. Did it happen under previous administrations? It appears it did. Did this village board know about it? No, they did not. But we're making sure that things like that does not happen, and we're looking at ways, being creative again, and finding out where we can come up with the funds to pay back that money that was taken out that should not have been taken out. Again, we are in repair mode, and we are finding out what was done illegally, and what we have to do to make it right. And that's what we're working on under this administration, and we are doing deep dive investigations on exactly what has to be done and what we're going to do moving forward. Talking about, the trustee brought about settling litigation. Anyone who settles litigation understands that you look at the long-term end. Is it going to cost us $10,000 to settle litigation in court, or can we settle it for $1,000? What's in the best interest of the village residents? Do we just save them $9,000? And again, I'm using easy $1,000 numbers. Some of these cases could have been in the hundreds of thousands, even in the millions, if we would continue going to court. So as a village board, you have to make decisions that you think and you feel in your heart, and based off the information that's provided, is in the best interest of this community and is in the best interest of the residents who we serve. Do we want to continue when all the lawyers tell you, and based off previous information that they have, previous cases, they're going to tell you you're going to lose a case, but if you want to continue going to court, it's going to cost you $250,000, or you can settle a case for $5,000. I think there's no one in this room would say, take it to the end, except for one. So, again, a lot of things we can't talk about because it deals with litigation. But there's a board sitting here that is looking at the best interest for the village residents and what we can do to save you the money, save you money. So, that's all I gotta say. Next.
Mr. Mayor, hold on. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Acting Mayor, when you make a statement like that, you're telling the citizens, okay, it doesn't matter if the allegations are lies on top of lies, what you just did. All those allegations that were made against some of these village employees were nothing but lies. Now, to allow them to just make them whenever they want to make them and then settle, it's only setting a precedent for the next person to do the exact same thing. Now, if you take them to court and make them prove of allegations that they can't prove them, in which all of them they couldn't prove, I know they can't prove, because they were false and they were lies. When they can't prove them and they lose those cases, they never have to pay the village and the village employees, not the taxpayers. So when you make that allegation, you make that a lie, you are misleading the public. That's the truth.
Sir, you are misleading the public. I think you need to have better understanding because, number one, they do not have to pay for the village. The village is different when it goes to court. So I think you need to do a little bit more research before you make your statements. And
But the way you do it is giving away money.
No, sir.
You're just giving away money.
And that's your opinion. Next, Ms. Lindstrom.
I agree with new Mayor Hanks.
Trustee?
In fact, I don't think they would have approved any suit if it weren't some truth to it. I do want to, of course, my name is Rose Langston. I want to thank you for at least bringing up, having Public Works doing some of the works for the boarding up, because that was one of my suggestions that it might be more cost effective. I know Kevin is overloaded with work. I didn't realize that all the hydrants haven't been installed yet. So that has to be done. And for the safety of the children of walking by and for people utilizing these damaged homes, I think it is, if we can at any time, and Public Works is available to do it, for them to do at least some of them as a more cost-effective way. I do want to wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, and I do want to thank all the department heads for doing an excellent job working under staff. I understand how it is. I'm here at the Village Hall a lot, and I know the administrative side have been very busy, and poor Sherry, I've seen her. I'm surprised her hair hasn't turned gray.
All right. Anyone else?
Well, I thought Mr. Hinkle was in front of me. He had got
Go ahead.
I'll let you go, sir.
Go ahead.
Ladies
first.
I don't know, can I speak on this, but it's not on the agenda, but
Tony, you can speak about anything you want.
it's very important because I've been trying to get a light on 217 place between 1605 and 1609. So now, this is what I want to tell you. It'd be 89 people down on the corner with black hoods and throwing bottles at cars. So I'm telling you, you better hurry up and do something about that light. Don't come down the street because it's getting dangerous, especially you.
Next.
Mayor Stewart, Sauk Village. Not to be contrary, I was listening to how, and Mr. Benson, I understand your stance. I'm trying to respect it, but when you got a budget and you got to weigh issues, weigh them. When you're sure that you're going to win, express how. I haven't heard that. I just heard just keep fighting. When you got a chance to settle, and you realize that if you go the long way, you may lose, don't go that way. Settle. If it's meaningful. But to look at it to where, to go into something, spend money on top of money, and you're being told that you may lose, fight on, good is good business. I don't want to be contrary to you, but I haven't heard, not once in 4 years, where you had a positive win in store, to where it was worth the fight. I believe as a collective board, you all make decisions, and I believe they were in the right. Some things weren't, all things, considered. But when it comes down to money, I think you all were very careful. This administration and people that dealt with the last one. Because money is what we've got to survive on. I understand the water issue and whether we're taking it from the water company, but we don't have no credit. We don't have no real borrowing power. The questions are great. The answers I don't understand from people questioning them. I think you all are doing a fine job as a collective board as far as the finances, even the oppositions, because it is a whole unity board. I think you all are all hearing the same thing. If you all go into something where the audience looks at it where they're spending our money foolishly, show where. That's all I have to say.
Next. If you have something, please come to the platform because we're recording, we're going to move on.
I don't think it was ready. I am Francine Anderson, and I am at 1606 216th Street. You can write your questions down so you can answer them at the end, sir. First of all, I would like to know when and where did the RFP go out for the opening for a new audited company? In which newspaper was it published? Ms. Haynes, tonight you said that in the last budget that we had put information in there about the tax rate objections. You had prepared for that in the budget. But as a part of the budget hearing meeting in which I asked approximately 30 questions in which I had several answers to, and one of the questions was what type of debt services was taken care of in that budget. Each one of you sat here and told me nothing and none, and then today you tell me there was. I am perplexed, and I think you need to answer the question and make it clear about did you put some debt services in that budget or you did not? You said it was 6 months and you had no time and did not have enough to do it. Question number 3. I think it's, this is a statement, I think it's irreprehensible that you consider Public Works doing any additional work. They already cannot change light bulbs. They already take them 6 months to fill a pothole that's still empty in front of my street, in which 5 of the residents from 216 block has formally complained. The pothole is still there. You can't change meters in homes. I voided the request. Kevin sit here and said he did 30. The answer to my request stated that he had no disposition for the 30. So how did he do 30 if you don't know what he did with 30? Number 4, you talked about safety of the residents. Let's talk about the safety of 216th Street. Within the last 2 weeks, we've had a senior citizen got beat up on the corner. We have a home that was broken and prior into, but a private door open. 2 weeks. And you tell me that our employees are doing everything that can be done. So when you decided, this whole board, you decided to eliminate the chief of police position and change it and devolve it into the fire department, you made a great mistake. Because the fire chief does a wonderful and excellent job of taking care of our fire department. There's no questions about what happens when fire happens in this town. But when it comes to policing, you have made a great mistake. And for you, let's talk about the ticket I got. I'll be in court on January the 14th for the ticket that says non-removal of village stickers from your window. I'll be there.
All right. I don't have a problem answering some of these. Talk about the safety of the residents and safety. Talk about our police department. The proof is in the numbers. Since the former police chief has his position is no longer, all you have to do is look at the numbers, the amount of tickets that are being issued, you look at the amount of calls that they're taking care of, the amount of arrests. The proof is in the numbers, and the residents are getting the information now. Even though the residents were begging for the information on the previous chief, and all you get is a response that they were working. And that was very generic. Now, every 2 weeks, you're receiving reports on exactly what those police officers have done in the last 2 weeks. And we've got reports from residents that says they feel safer than they have in years. So what we have is a police department that is now working, a police department that is now doing their job, and a police department that, again, the resident even said she received a ticket. So I think it proves that the police department is out there, our code enforcement is out there, they're doing their job. Our public works is out there, even though we all know that under the budget we wanted to bring back 2 additional personnel. We had to push that off to next year because the village doesn't have money. We're borrowing money now to make payroll. It did not make sense for us to bring 2 additional employees on to have to borrow more to make that payroll also. So our departments are free to do their job now, and they're not being, if you want to call it micromanaged, or if you want to call it being controlled. They are now able to do their job and do it the way they're supposed to. You want to talk about Public Works. I agree, Public Works has a ton of work to do, and they're doing a fantastic job. They're out there every day working. So, again, all we can do is just continue to try to support our employees, and that's what this administration is going to do. We're going to support our employees, and by supporting them, it's informing them on what we're hearing. It's not an administration that's putting our employees down. It's not an administration that is putting pressure. There is a little bit of pressure, because the pressure on this administration is do your job. And we've got employees here. And that's one of the things we talk about every 2 weeks in our meetings, is go out there and do your job. Go out there. I'm not telling you, police department, who to write tickets to, but I'm telling them that if tickets are due, issue the tickets. I don't care if they're a friend of mine or a friend of someone else. I think I code enforcement, go out there and do your job. I got Public Works, Kevin provides me what they're working on and what they're doing. We prioritize. And again, I don't prioritize. I look at my department heads, the department heads that work for this village, come back with a priority list and tell me what needs to be done. Because I'm not sitting in this position to tell them how to do their job. I'm here to support them to make sure they can do their job. You talked about the tax rate being included inside the budget. You know, I guess you want to call it words, however you want to call it, but that's litigation. Was litigation planned inside this budget year? Yes, it was, because we had to be able to. So when you look at the tax I've been up too many hours. Just got back from a 13.5-hour flight. The tax hang on, I gotta look at the word here. Objection, thank you very much. Tax objection. When you look at that, that's litigation. And when we did the budget, we were looking at the litigation for over the next 6 months and what we were expecting. So when you talk about debt service, play on words if you want to call it, but we were looking at litigation and what we have to move forward on this village with. And I probably didn't answer all your questions, and I probably won't be able to, but I wrote down the ones I thought were important that the residents realize the truth. So, Mr. Henkel, you're next. Thank you very much.
No problem. John Hinkle, 1636 16th Place. I think I asked last week, and someone, are we still looking at, the only one that you can really hear up there is Mr. Hanks with his little microphone that he has on him? I mean, the other guys, sometimes you talk to them like sometimes you don't. Are we looking at maybe getting all the trustees these little devices that we can hear everything that they say? It would be nice.
You mean the chest one?
Well, whatever he's got, because, well, yeah, because whenever he talks, you can hear him. If you guys don't lean over to the mic and talk, so, hey, you guys, you can't hear what he's saying anyways, you can't understand it. Every word the man said tonight, you can hear him.
We were talking at one time, here we get 2 extra mics. You want? 2 extra for these things. We have mics up there.
Yeah.
But 2 extra ones for the tape.
Yeah, but they should get like the ones he's got. Apparently the mic's right there, and everything he says, we hear.
Those are a lot more expensive. Those our mics are a lot more expensive. These are not as expensive.
Oh, then we're gonna have to tape it to you guys' shoulders or something or other, like the magicians have the thing that, so it's there all the time.
Some people choose to use it, or Mr. Hinkle, some don't. We can't force them. All we can do is ask them to use the mic.
It would be nice because the only one you can really hear every time he talks is the mayor.
Well, he has me right there.
It would be great. Okay, one of the things, if it means borrowing money from the water fund to get the hoodlums so they don't have a place to hang out, then borrow all the money you want. I say it. I mean, let's get it taken care of. Yes. You guys are running, I mean, it's ridiculous, and I mean, expect the police to take care of all of it. There's no way. You better look at Chicago with all the cops they got and look at the troubles they have. It ain't going to be done overnight. I mean, I don't know what you people think these cops are magicians or whatever, but I think they're doing their job. I hear on the scanner, I mean, they're really answering a lot of calls. It seems to be taken care of. I mean, it's a hell of a lot better than what it was. So, I mean, I think there's got to be a way of getting the message out, whether it be, you know, once a month you guys have a paper delivery guy or something like that, and I notice who to call, whatever. I don't think a lot of people know that they should call if they see these things. Whether it would be, you know, the shop talk to go a little, or Sauk talk to go a little deeper in that, and have it available in more businesses, so that the word gets out to some people. I think there's a lot of people in the village that are not getting the word on what to do. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Coach, if you do me a favor, I don't know if you can do it or if someone else, but reach out to find out the cost on additional nights, or since they mentioned it, how much these will cost, so we can come before a committee meeting and review it. Also, if you reach out to, I believe it's Comcast, see what they can do for us on any type of microphone and stuff. Because when I met with them a couple of weeks ago, they were talking about also see if they could provide us a package where they would bring a camera here and put us on cable. Again, that was right before I left. Correct. Yeah, it's in my hands. All right. Next.
Ed Shankleton, 20th Street. As a thought, you can't have people use their microphones or not. If you don't want to use the microphones, we don't have to vote for it. Let's look at it that way. So that might be an incentive to use the microphones. If not, see it down the road. We can also, like, have you guys sit up where you normally sit at. That way you'll have, as a group, you can leave the furniture where it sits. You can have your microphones that are there. You can use those microphones that are in front of you. Things of that sort. Until we get some more microphones. Longer cords even. If we get those 2 microphones behind Dave there, we can have them come out, whereas the cords come down and come to the table, and there's 2 more microphones for just the price of the cords. Things of this sort. Alternatives. Nothing else, we can sit up there and go. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Pat Couch, 221st and Sherman. Just another issue on these kids that our police are running ragged trying to catch these burglars with their cell phones over here, reporting to the guy over here, this is the cops over here, and these poor cops are running rampant trying to catch these kids. One guy has been arrested over 5 times, goes to the court system, the court slaps him on the hand, good boy, go back and do it again. They let him out, and these kids are not being taken care of by the courts. Our guys are working their tails off, and yet we're not getting the backing from the court system to make sure they aren't back out on that street again doing the same thing. And with the issue that happened this last week, these kids that had guns down their pant leg, that was loaded, that was stolen, and is back out on the street, it's something to think about. We have to have more cops that can help do these jobs. These boys are running themselves crazy, trying to protect all of this village, not just part of it. And thank God they are writing tickets for everything that needs to be written. Thank you.
Just real quick, I understand the problem with the youth. Is I sit on the Public Safety Committee through State Representative that has to do with his office. And one thing we are looking at is stronger laws against the youth when they commit crimes, and trying to put a bill together that can be presented in Springfield. And our committee consists of trustees, and there's police officers and chiefs of police throughout the South suburbs, especially ones that fall under state representatives that have to look at. So we're encouraged, because Sauk Village is not the community, and I know it doesn't help our residents, but we're not the only community out here that's having problems, and with the amount of communities that are having problems, it helps our efforts to get a bill in Springfield.
Frank Williams, 1633-216, please. Just want to clear up one thing. See it right up here said, I want you people to understand what he said. When he said to debit, especially you, he wasn't talking about debit per se. He said that why he said it, because when you come out of the street, you're all way, but that street he was talking about, it would be just particular white people that they were throwing it. So that's what I wanted to make sure that all of us understand. He wasn't just telling debit it, so we can all get that straight. Right, sis? Right. There you go. Okay, thank you.
All right, since I see no one else at the mic, we'll move to the next item. Item number 10, miscellaneous business comments from trustees.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just an observation and something I wanted to run by the board right quick. I've had several calls with other trustees. I've had several calls since the incident has happened in Connecticut. And since that time, I wanted to put together a fact-finding committee that would include yourself, the superintendent of school district 168, the police department, the fire department, ESDA, to find out what we have in place, what rules and what laws and what procedures we have in place in case anything were to happen. If we need to update or upgrade anything like that, I would like to see if we can put a meeting together next week after Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's, the kids be out. I can make those calls and try to set up a meeting. We can meet either here or at District 168, but we'd have to, get everyone there so we can kind of have something in effect, and we can kind of know what we have. Maybe it hasn't been a while, so it's probably been a while since they did any upgrading, but at least we can know what it is. So, with your permission, I'd like to see if we can get that taken care of.
And I think it's great, because I just got back in town tonight. One of the first things that's on my agenda is I was going to try to get a meeting set up with Mr. Shagler meeting on Friday to find out, first of all, what steps do they have in place, what's the procedures going forward. And I think maybe the following week would be a good week. What I can do is, once I receive their procedures and processes, maybe I can get it sent out to our police department as whoever trustee wants it on it. And we can review it, see if there's any changes everyone wants. But again, at the same time, we'll make sure that the schools understand that our police department is 100% behind them. We have other, employees that can help through our ASDA, fire department, things like that. Whatever we have to do to make sure something like that does not happen here in Sauk Village.
Okay, so you're saying that because I wanted all of them together so we can brainstorm and we can at least look and see what we do have in place on paper.
Right.
Have all the department heads or have all the people that's in charge of the different departments be at that meeting, and we can kind of go over what we need to go over and find out what we need to do in case something similar.
No, I agree. And again, my step was just to try to get something that they have in writing to get out to everyone so they can review it before we go to that meeting and come in that meeting with suggestions, rather than getting blindsided with something and then having to review it. You're looking at you have to have another meeting, I think, with coming back. I'm trying to stop a meeting and try to kind of expedite everything so we get done in a short period of time.
Okay, so then you're saying that you want to send out the information and then have the meeting, right?
Correct. And again, I'm going to reach out. I wasn't able to reach out to him tonight, but I'll reach out to him tomorrow, see if I can get in or meet with him on Friday.
Okay, and then we can probably set something up for next week, like that, between Christmas and New Year's?
Definitely.
Okay, thank you. Also, I just wanted to tell everyone on the board and in the audience that we won't see you guys until after New Year's, so have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year's. Enjoy your family, be safe out there, and come back and have some. I'd like to hear some of the questions that we have, which a lot of them, that's what we brainstorm. That's the only reason why we can find out what it is that you want us to do. So I appreciate the questions. I hope that some of the answers, that you got some of your answers. I'm always available after the meetings. If you you feel you need to get an answer, we can check it out, we can go before, write it down, come back, at least have your questions answered. I don't want you to feel that you're going away, leaving here without answers, or someone that hasn't answered your question, and then later on you say, well, I tried to ask a question and no one wants to talk to me. That's not true. That's what we're here for. That's what the trustees are here for, to make sure that at least we look into it and tell you the answer. You may not like the answer, but at least you got the answer. So again, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to the board and to the audience. Thank you.
Excuse me, Trustee Williams left me sick. She just wanted to make an announcement that the Sauk articles are due on 7/28, Friday, Friday the 17th.
Thank you very much. Mr. Marital, so you where that comes from?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I just want to wish everybody have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Be careful. Unfortunately, tonight the storm came in. The air predicting that we haven't saw any of it, that we're going to get it Thursday. We got a snowstorm coming on us. So be careful. Out there, the road's going to get slipped. There's going to be rain. There's going to be ice. There's going to be snow. So be careful. The Works Committee meeting will meet tomorrow night at 7 p.m. We still have that lovely book we have to go through and finish up for the village clerk, if she can get it out. There's about 530 some odd pages to go yet. I want to thank all the department heads for their input. I cut the time down quite a bit for us. Putting down stuff that you want to remove, some of the old stuff and the new stuff, and we'll have there and some stuff you want to move on the others. But once again, it will be a fantastic book that will cover all the stuff, ordinances we do have presently, and get rid of some of the stuff that we had in the early 1900s. So it's going to be a good book. And with that, I want to let the mic go, and I talked too long already. Make sure you have a good Christmas.
Yes, okay. Over the past week or two, I received several phone calls from some of the neighbors who were complaining that their nativity scene has been stolen and damaged. We do have, I don't know if they're youth or whoever is doing the crime out here, they are taking people's nativity scenes. So if you do have nativity scenes out in your lawn, every now and then just look out there and make sure that it's still there. You may even see somebody trying to steal that nativity scene. Report to the police right away. And when the police officer do come to your home, make sure that you receive a police report from that officer. On a second note, New Year's Eve midnight is a night of celebration. There will be lots of gunfire. We know that, according to what I'm hearing, the village is having a huge amount of teen activity that is negative. And because of that, I would like everybody to be very careful New Year's Eve night if you're out there. And with that, I will say have a safe Christmas holiday and a Happy New Year. God bless you all.
All I have to say is Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you very much.
The only thing I have is it's great to be back home. I flew in tonight and drove straight here to the Village Hall. So if I said anything wrong during the board meetings, it's because of jet lag, I have to say. So. But I spent 2.5 days in South Korea and what was it, 5 or 6 days in China. And I tell you what, there is nothing like the USA. So you look at what they have and what we have, especially this time of the season, we should be very thankful for what we have. So with that said, again, I'd like to echo everything the trustees have said. I'd like to wish everyone here a Merry Christmas. May you enjoy your time with your family and friends. May you have a happy and a safe New Year. Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned. The motion to adjourn. Thank you. Okay, motion is second, all in favor?